This may seem like a piece of quiet woodland, but this place was once Hitler's home. Everywhere you look, there's brickwork and bits of stone. This actually was Hitler's house. This is the Berghof. It was a place he loved above all others, his own refuge. And where I'm standing now is the main living room. And it was once stuffed full of tapestries and great works of art. And actually, I've got an incredible bit of film footage shot by Eva Braun. Of course, back then, this was a silent movie, but modern technology has enabled us to work out what it was he was saying. And what he says is really fascinating. When the people see that I support art, they will do so too. That's why I've been collecting so many pieces of art. Yes, one day these will all belong to the German people. And then he turns, pauses, looks back and says, I am merely the curator.
Hitler had a dream to create the world's most spectacular art collection. It was a dream that would become Europe's nightmare. At the end of World War II, the Allies made a series of shocking discoveries. Hidden in trains, bunkers, and deep underground, they found mountains of stolen treasure.
That must have been like going into Aladdin's cave.
Hitler and the Nazis had looted an entire continent and committed the greatest theft in history. Now, a team of investigators is opening up cold case files of Nazi plunder still missing today.
We're talking about things that are worth tens of millions of dollars.
Robert Edsell is an expert in Nazi-looted treasure.
Hundreds of thousands of objects are still missing. Well, we have a lot of digging to do.
Joining him is Second World War historian James Holland.
None of this was really his. He'd just taken it.
And investigative journalist Connor Woodman.
And this is a genuine treasure hunt. We dig a hole in the ground and we find those cases.
Their mission, uncover new clues.
Oh gosh, this is it.
Explore Nazi hideouts.
Whoever built this brick wall really didn't want anyone to get through to the other side.
Find out how the treasure was stolen and where it might be now.
What a piece of history.
The team is meeting at the headquarters of the Monuments Men Foundation, an organization that has found and returned many Nazi-looted treasures to their rightful owners. Foundation President Robert Edsell briefs the team on a new investigation.
I want to go back in time, talk about in May 1945 when the Monuments Men arrive at this salt mine in Altaussee, Austria, and make an enormous discovery.
The Allied Art Protection Unit, aka the Monuments Men, was a specialist army unit tasked with rescuing valuable art and cultural treasures. In May 1945, they hit the jackpot at a salt mine in Altaussee, Austria. Hidden deep in a network of underground chambers, they made an astonishing find, an art collection belonging to Adolf Hitler.
Here's a sculpture by Michelangelo.
Yeah, look at this.
Wow, so some pretty serious works of art.
Hugely important. Some of these are the most famous works of art in the world.
In today's money, the trove would be worth nearly $6 billion.
Wow, there's hundreds of them. Do we have an idea how many paintings were there?
Well, actually, I've got a report here which has a kind of inventory, and it's just incredible. There's hundreds of drawings, 954 etchings, 134 sculptures, and a staggering 6,577 paintings.
6,500 paintings?
Yeah.
Well, the Monuments Men arrive here, and they don't realize it at the time, but they're the first detectives on what was a crime scene. These are crime scene photos, and it's taken the passage of time for us to get this all into perspective and try and wrap our heads around the enormity of this theft.
Well, some of it he has bought, hasn't he?
Yep.
But a lot of it is just stolen. I mean, and sometimes at gunpoint.
Well, that's right, yeah. I mean, the sculpture by Michelangelo taken in the middle of the night with soldiers at gunpoint. These aren't random thefts on their way out of town. These are things that they've specifically targeted to go get.
I mean, if the Monuments Men already solved this, what's left for us to do?
Well, the monuments men did an extraordinary job, but it's possible that some of the other works of art walked out of there before the monuments men arrived.
Despite the recovery at Altaussee, hundreds of artworks stolen by Hitler have never been found. The team's goal: to investigate how and why he stole the artworks and where they might be now.
So what do we do?
We need to go to Altaussee and go back to the scene of the crime.
Connor and art historian Dorothee Schneider fly into Austria to investigate the location where the looted artworks were discovered. Altaussee is still a working salt mine, but those areas which stored Hitler's art collection have been preserved for posterity.
So this is the entrance to the mine.
Oh my God, look at that. Oh, it's huge. It goes all the way back. Go on then, I'll follow you.
Okay.
It just goes on and on and on.
Salt has been carved out of these mountains for nearly 900 years. They're honeycombed by hundreds of subterranean chambers, linked by nearly 70 kilometers of tunnels.
Look at this place.
For the Nazis, it was the perfect place to hide a treasure trove.
So look, this is the first chamber of the chambers where arts were stored.
Oh, so there was actual there were paintings stored in this room?
Yes. 6,577 paintings, sculptures, books, everything was stored in here.
So the monuments men, when they walked into this room, must have thought it was Christmas.
Yeah, especially because they'd been looking for these things for months. So let me show you this photo.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's exactly...
See?
It looks exactly like...
Yeah, that's the shelving. Here's one of the paintings, and it's right here.
Oh, my God, yeah. Oh, suddenly you can just imagine all of those paintings just all stacked up.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think a lot of the art that was in this room and in this mine was actually personally selected by Hitler?
Well, we know that for his own collection, yes, absolutely. Every single piece was what he wanted and what he thought was wonderful and was his own taste. Sometimes people think that he might have even gotten so much strength and enjoyment out of this collection that that was the main thing that kept him going.
The artwork found by the Allies was stored in 8 separate underground chambers, but recent research has revealed there are other caverns packed with art treasures. What happened to this artwork remains a mystery, but we do know that the mountain contains numerous entrances that were likely known only to local salt miners. Is it possible there are still people in the area who know where the booty is? Connor and Dorothee are meeting local treasure hunter Gerhard Zauner. For nearly 60 years, he's been following every lead he can in his quest to find looted treasure.
Grüß Gott, Herr Zauner, Dorothee Schneider.
In 1959, Zauner hit the headlines with an incredible discovery. Diving in nearby Lake Toplitz, he and some friends found £72 million in counterfeit British currency, dating back to the Nazi era. He takes Connor and Dorothee to see some of his other finds in his own private museum.
Wow, look at all this. Is this all stuff that you have found yourself?
It's also a lake.
Wow. These are huge. Are these from tanks?
This is from the tanks.
That's from the tank, yeah. Okay.
As the Allied armies closed in, German soldiers flung their weapons into lakes around here in a desperate attempt to hide their Nazi past.
What are these from here with the swastika?
Das hatten sie.
Yeah, everybody would have had something like that on their writing desks. It was a real cult. It was almost like a crucifix. People had one of those at home.
Right, so these just would have been everywhere all over Germany at the time.
It isn't just Nazi weapons that Zauner has pulled out of the water.
What's your most prized find ever?
Ich habe einen Ring gefunden von einem SS-Offizier. Werde ich Ihnen dann zeigen.
He found this ring by an SS officer, and he would love to show it to you.
An SS officer's ring. I'd love to see it. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Hier im Ringinneren ist der Name Milius eingraviert und Führers Geburtstag.
So inside is the name engraved and Hitler's birthday.
It is, yeah, 20th of April. It's written inside.
Man war ja verehelicht mit Hitler.
Yeah, you were married to Hitler. That's why his
Ja, sie war
birthday
nie schwul,
is in
aber
there.
That's an incredible find.
ja.
Yeah, I mean, to see that at the bottom of a lake.
The SS ring is a rare find, but it's not what the team are looking for. Somewhere out there is Hitler's missing artwork.
Explain to me, what are the laws in Austria with regard to finding treasure from the Second World War?
Ihr Top-Secret. Er bekommt nur Probleme, ja. Das Behalten und Stillsein ist
The best
besser
thing is
als...
always apparently to keep quiet about what you found and have it at home and don't talk about it.
Under Austrian law, any Third Reich artifacts must be reported to the government and evaluated for possible confiscation. In other words, it's entirely possible, if anyone has found anything of real value, they've kept it quiet.
I'm just thinking about what Gerhard said, and I can't help but wonder whether the Austrian authorities, in their efforts to draw a line under the Second World War, aren't actually putting in force laws and regulations that make it more difficult for people to come forward and actually admit to what they have. And that's incredibly frustrating for people like me that just want to know the truth about what is still out there.
The team are searching for treasure plundered by Adolf Hitler during World War II. Much of it was located after the war in a salt mine in Austria, but not all. In 2013, a remarkable discovery made headlines around the world. At its core was one of the murky characters hired to bring Hitler the world's greatest artworks, art dealer Hildebrand Gurlitt. James flies into Germany to uncover more about Gurlitt. He's meeting with Markus Sturzel,
Marcus.
a lawyer who's been intimately involved in the case.
Marcus, why have you brought me here to this kind of slightly nondescript street?
Well, James, actually, this is a place where a man used to live, the son to a notorious art dealer, one of Hitler's henchmen. His name was Hildebrand Gurlitt, and this became one of the most incredible stories about looted art in recent years.
Finding 1,400 works of art in Germany is just the start of the treasure hunt.
In early 2012, the German tax authorities were on a routine investigation when they stumbled upon an astonishing find. A treasure trove of art hidden away for more than 70 years in a small city apartment. It belonged to Cornelius Gurlitt, the son of Hitler's personal art dealer, Hildebrand Gurlitt.
This is the apartment where he kept most of his art.
And we're talking about hundreds.
We're talking about more than 1,000, actually.
Wow. So how much is this worth?
Well, about up to maybe €1 billion.
I'm just blown away by that. It's so unremarkable, isn't it? And
It
you
is.
just
It
can't
is.
imagine
It is.
that one
It
of
is.
those apartments would have all this sort of looted, stolen art. It's just
Right.
incredible.
So far, investigators suspect that nearly 100 of the recovered artworks were unlawfully seized by the Nazis. Hitler's operation to rob Europe of its finest art was ruthlessly efficient. Soon after occupying a country, specialist units would seek out and seize whatever artwork they could find, usually from national museums or Jewish family collections. In Germany, Jewish collectors would be forced to sell their paintings at knockdown prices. So how did Hildebrand Gurlitt acquire such a massive art trove?
He ran the show, and he had access to all famous collections in Europe, in the occupied countries, in the war zone. He bought stuff officially for the Führer, but, well, he had the opportunity and he had the means. And he bought also for himself, obviously.
Okay, so I'm Gurlitt, and I go in and I'm looking at a big collection. Am I making a list of everything that's... I'm making an inventory of that collection.
Yeah.
But then the inventory I then show my bosses, my boss, the Führer. Do I leave a few bits off? I mean, how does that work?
Gurlitt had figured out a way to steal from Hitler himself.
This is an official receipt, a bill.
Oh yeah, Dr. H. Gurlitt.
This is what he bought in the occupied zone in France, in which you can see in detail a number of paintings by name, artist, and so on. And if you go to the next document, compare the lists. There are 2 or 3 items which do not appear on this list. So, in other words, he managed to get some stuff for himself.
So those missing paintings, he's basically just siphoned off himself?
That's what he did, yeah.
God, he's playing a dangerous game, isn't he?
That's also...
He's stealing from Jews, but he's also stealing from the Führer.
On both sides, yeah.
Wow.
Two years after finding Gurlitt's secret stash of art, Austrian authorities made another discovery. Hildebrand Gurlitt's son didn't just have a flat in Munich, he lived in a house in Salzburg too. And there, police uncovered another hoard of paintings, including incredibly rare pieces by Monet, Renoir, and Picasso. But the Gurlitt story doesn't end there. Hildebrand had a cousin, Wolfgang Gurlitt, who also dealt art during the war. He lived in the same region of Austria as the Altaussee salt mine, where Hitler's stolen art was stored.
This is the address, so that villa on the right must be the house that Gurlitt used during the war. And the bungalow on the left, apparently it's still owned by the Gurlitt family. But you know, all week people have been coming up to us and saying that they know about looted art that's still hanging in private homes, but they won't come out and say it on film. It's amazing that after 70 years, there's still this veil of secrecy and, frankly, air of menace too. And it suggests to me that in this region here, there's still huge amounts of looted art that we just don't know about.
Just a few miles away, Connor is searching for some of that hidden Nazi treasure.
This is Lake Udensee. This is where Herr Zauner found the SS ring, and conditions are perfect today for diving.
The lakes around here have proved a rich hunting ground for Nazi treasure.
Why are we diving in this particular spot?
There are some rumors that some SS troops dropped some wooden cases into the lake.
How do we know it was this particular spot?
My friend knew a very old lady, and she told him that she watched when SS troops came here, and they had a rowing boat, and they dropped in 15 or 16 cases.
15 or 16 cases?
16 cases, wooden cases. And the contents is unknown, and this is very interesting, and I'm really curious what we could find.
Me too. Me too. Very curious. And do we know roughly how far into the lake?
She said 50 meters.
Okay.
Visibility should be good, so we will see.
Okay, right. And what else should we be looking out for down there? Because it's not just these crates down there. There could potentially be all kinds of treasure down there.
There could be some weapons as well, yeah? Some hand grenades, German hand grenades, guns, whatever, yeah?
Because we know the Nazis at the end of the war used these lakes just to throw everything away, to throw away the past.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, let's go. Let's get in the water.
Connor and the diving team are acting on information that Hitler's elite SS sunk 16 wooden crates in this lake. Is it possible those crates contain treasure stolen at the behest of Adolf Hitler? If the team are going to locate them, they're going to have to take great care not to disturb the deep layer of silt which covers the bottom of the lake. "7 meters down, Connor and the team think they've found something. Through the murky water, they appear to be artillery shells. But on closer inspection, it's just decaying tree trunks. They move on. It will take hours to search the 120,000 square meters of lake bed. Back in Dallas, the team are examining the motives behind Hitler's unprecedented art theft. Robert has uncovered some footage which offers some fascinating clues.
Hitler and Mussolini meeting in Florence, May 1938. Into his car in the motorcade. Look at the people. The throngs of people cheering. No one can see what's getting ready to happen. Transformation of an entire continent over the ambitions of this one man. And this is it, right here. This is the moment. He sees the great collections, this Michelangelo, the Botticelli, that have been collected by the Medici family, and having a sense of the immortality of the remarkable works of art that they assembled. Hitler was fascinated. In fact, 2 hours out of this visit's allocated to museums and look at these works of art. And this is the spark. The idea's been planted, this moment where he realizes the possibilities of immortality. It's a stunning moment in history.
Hitler's obsession with art dates back to his early years. Long before his ambition to create the 1,000-year Reich, he dreamt of becoming a great artist. To learn more, Robert is in Virginia at Fort Belvoir Army Museum. Hitler's watercolors are so controversial they're not on public display, but stored securely in the museum's basement. Curator Sarah Forgy is showing them to Robert.
So here they are.
Joining them is watercolor expert Gwendolyn Bragg.
Gwen, what do you think about him, Gwen?
Well, I'm surprised. I think, frankly, they are quite accomplished, and there's a lot of detail. There seems to be an almost obsession with fine, tiny little details, even in the variety of stonework that he's rendering and so forth.
Viewing these, it makes you wish that he had gotten into art school and developed his talents.
What strikes me about these things is there's a complete absence of people. And
Yes.
you really see this focus of Hitler not really caring about people, just focusing on drawing structures.
I think the composition is good. It's not dynamic.
Maybe we'd say it's competent.
Yes, competent. A good term.
And here's his signature. Munich, 1914, A. Hitler.
Despite Hitler's obvious technical ability, his old-fashioned and unimaginative approach was totally out of step with the bold new currents coursing through the European art scene in the 1920s.
Es spricht der Führer.
But his obsession with art never waned. If he couldn't become a great artist himself, he decided he would plunder the work of others. The salt mine at Altaussee is not the only place the Führer's plundered art collection was stored. Artwork earmarked for Hitler was sent to his Southern Command HQ in Munich, the Führerbau. In early 1945, hundreds of valuable paintings were still here. But there's evidence that in the final days of the war they vanished, and James is here to investigate. Today, it's a music and theatre school, but the labyrinth of tunnels below where the art was once stored have been barely touched since 1945.
Hello, Dr. Krause. How are you?
Come, please.
Thank you.
The university's chancellor, Dr. Krause, has offered James rare access to the tunnels. He's keen to search for clues as to what happened to the missing art.
To go there, please take this.
Oh, thank you. This way?
Yes, please.
Oh my goodness, it just goes on forever.
Yes. I can show you some graffiti, so if you want to
please,
see.
yes. SS. Wow. Gosh, they go on and on.
Yes.
They're so extensive, aren't they? God, they are amazing.
So here's is the entrance to the air shelter.
In 1944, with the Allied air bombardment nearing its climax, Nazi officials decided it was no longer safe storing the priceless hoard here. It was moved to the salt mine, where it was later found by the monument's men.
These rooms would have just been filled with amazing works of art.
Some 1,000 paintings.
7,000.
But stolen art kept on arriving at the Führerbau. As the Allies closed in, it became too risky to move it to the mountains. In early 1945, there were still some 700 valuable paintings stored here.
Look at these.
Potato cellar.
Yeah, Kartoffelkeller. Look at that. Look at that, they've just shot it off.
These tunnels weren't just used for storing Hitler's art, but also food. It looks like starving locals broke in when the guards fled.
It's absolutely incredible to see this, because this is the potato store, and you can see the bullet holes absolutely smashed away the lock. These are made by local civilians in Munich, and they're just desperate to get their hands on the potatoes in here. They're so hungry. But what it also shows is that if they can get in down here to get the potatoes, they can also come down and take any bits of art that were there.
Yes.
You know, this is no longer a secure, safe place for these precious works of art.
When the Allies took the Führerbau, more than 700 paintings had vanished. The mystery is being investigated by a team of art detectives, including Professor Micah Hopp.
So, Micah, how do you go about finding all these missing pieces? I mean, what's your start point?
Well, our start point are actually lists like these. The Führerbau rooms in the cellar were numbered, and here you have, for example, room number 6, and what you can see on the list is a painting, and this is actually this painting. The only thing that we know about this painting is the National Gallery in Berlin bought it in 1967 from a Munich private person. Exactly.
Right, so in other words, that Munich private person got in there on the night of whatever it was in April 1945, took it home, hung it on the wall for a bit, and then sold it in 1967, probably.
Probably. We don't know it exactly, but of course this might be the case.
It's a challenging forensic investigation. When valuable paintings emerge into the art market, Micah and her colleagues identify them. And if there's evidence they were stolen by the Nazis, then the legal process begins to return them to their rightful owners.
Does it kind of still shock you, the degree of this?
Of course. Sometimes it is still unbelievable how many paintings they transferred from the whole of Europe and collected together again.
In Austria, Connor is hunting for 16 lost crates supposedly dumped by Hitler's SS, their contents unknown. Visibility on the dive can be pretty good. But if you disturb the sediment, that can quickly change. By working together and combining the light from their flashlights, the team has a better chance of finding things. But after 4 hours searching, their air tanks are almost empty. It's time to call off the quest for now.
Hey, hey, hey.
Diesen Ring hier fand, und das ist hier 10 Meter vom Ufer gewesen.
He can show us where he found the ring, the SS officer ring.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Because that means that That SS officer 70 years ago must have stood exactly where you are now and taken that ring off and thrown it into the water there.
The hunt for Nazi treasure goes way beyond the lakes and mountains of Altaussee. The missing artworks robbed on the orders of Adolf Hitler are almost certainly scattered to the four corners of the globe. Now, the team switch their focus to North America. The team is searching for looted artwork which once belonged to Adolf Hitler. Much of this priceless trove was found at the end of the war, but not all. So what exactly did Hitler intend to do with one of the grandest art collections the world has ever seen? James flies into London to investigate. He's meeting with a man who in 1945 made an extraordinary discovery. A Jewish refugee from Nazi Germany, Hermann Göring, was an intelligence officer in the British Army when he translated a document that would shake the world. Hitler's last will and personal testament. The original is kept at the Imperial War Museum.
You must be Hermann. Hello, James Holland. Nice to meet you.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, gosh, look at that.
Can I touch it or not?
Of course you can, yes. So take me back, Hermann, to the day when you first saw this. So what happened?
What happened was something which we will never forget. I was woken up at 4 o'clock by my commanding officer, and he said, have a look at this. What do you think it is? The impression I had was that this is such an important document, even without translating it. I knew that it was Hitler's will, Hitler's private will.
You're touching something that he was touching in that bunker in those last desperate moments.
Hitler's will was found hidden in a German soldier's uniform, and it reveals that even as he contemplated suicide in his bunker, he had no regrets for unleashing a war that killed 60 million people. But what the will does say helps explain his pathological desire to plunder Europe's greatest artworks.
I have my art, which I have not collected for my own private use, but for the gallery in my hometown of Linz. And signed by A. Hitler.
Hitler dreamt of creating the finest art gallery the world had ever seen in the town he grew up, in Linz, Austria. The design was hugely ambitious, a magnificent home for his looted collection. It was never even started. All that remains of this mythical building is a photograph of an architect's model. But there is one way to get a glimpse into the collection Hitler had wanted so badly.
How are you?
Robert is at the German Historical Museum, which houses a set of albums containing photographs of the artwork destined for the Führer Museum.
Let's look at these images. There are about 50 pages for each of these books.
They're known as the Linz albums. Over the course of the war, 31 of them were made by the Nazis as they acquired artwork for the Führer.
Amazing to think these were presented to Adolf Hitler for his birthday and then on special occasions. These are some of the greatest names in painting. I'm sure that Hitler would have looked at these with a great sense of satisfaction.
It's a sort of collection of trophy art. It is the big names, the big labels that you needed in order to have an old master collection of some kudos, of some standing.
12 of the Linz albums have never been found, but Robert and the Monuments Men Foundation was instrumental in recovering one of them and returning it to the museum.
Album 13. I haven't seen it in 6 years since we found it. Incredible piece of history.
These albums are all that remain of Hitler's dream to create the world's most spectacular art collection. Back in Dallas, the team are hard at work. In Europe, they've hit a series of brick walls. But Robert is renowned for finding and returning art stolen during the Nazi era. And he knows that some objects found their way to North America after the war. Although it was against the rules, it was commonplace for GIs to bring home so-called souvenirs.
Yeah, all I'm sitting here looking at the document.
There's been a new development. The daughter of a veteran has contacted the National World War II Museum in New Orleans, wanting to return a piece of art that's been in her family for nearly 70 years. And the museum has asked Robert to help figure out who the rightful owner is.
A tapestry's surfaced, and it's in one of these photographs, and it was at the Eagle's Nest, this little dining room, and there's this Flemish tapestry.
High up in the Bavarian Alps, Hitler's Eagle's Nest was just a few miles from his Berghof home. Like the Berghof, it was decorated with fine artworks, some of dubious provenance.
I have a photo that they've scanned and sent to me. And you can see it's in great condition, this tapestry, an amazing, amazing connection having this photograph. And I'm off to New Orleans to the National World War II Museum to see it. A few helmets.
Yeah, lots of uniforms. But this is what you're after.
Robert is meeting with the museum president, Gordon Muller, and Kathy Heinz, whose father, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Dehaney, was an intelligence officer with 101st Airborne and one of the first soldiers to take control of the Eagle's Nest at the end of the war. When Colonel Dehaney took the 500-year-old Flemish tapestry,
Fantastic.
he had little idea of its true value.
What a piece of history.
And it hung in the family home in Minnesota for nearly 70 years. At today's prices, it's worth up to $80,000.
If you see the piece, there are 4 boys and 2 girls, and there were 4 boys and 2 girls in our family. So we all had a role in the picture.
Were you any one of these people in particular?
I was this one. I was this one. And this was my Prince Charming right here. So to see it again is to see an old friend, but I'm ready to say goodbye and send it back home.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
It's been a special journey together.
It has been.
Yeah.
It has been.
Kathy wants to see the tapestry returned to its rightful owners. But for Robert and the team, working out who that might be after all these years is a challenge. To learn more, they need to go to Hitler's mountain retreat in the Bavarian Alps, the Eagle's Nest. James and art historian Dorothee fly into Germany to investigate further.
Here we are.
Let's go.
Isn't that an amazing view?
Oh, it's absolutely stunning. But the irony is, of course, is that Hitler didn't particularly like it up here. The whole place was built for him by Martin Bormann as his 50th birthday. That was the whole point of it. And when he brought him up, you know, really expecting lots of praise from his beloved Führer, Hitler was a bit sniffy about it. He didn't like heights. Wow, look at this. It's a lovely room, isn't it? Oh, look, they've even got a picture on the wall. Is that it? Is that the tapestry?
That's the one.
Amazing.
The photos show the tapestry took pride of place in Eva Braun's favourite room.
And look, you can even see the lighting fixtures. It's exactly the same. Isn't that amazing?
Amazing.
Hasn't changed at all. Really hasn't. You know, we've no longer got that table in here, and
The carpet is gone.
yeah,
But we found the tapestry.
brilliant. Oh gosh, look at that. Look, you can see there's a graffiti here.
Oh, yeah.
46. So these are done by American troops, obviously, they're here. And you can see that this would have been straight, wouldn't it? I mean, this has been chipped off. And what this means, of course, is that this has been spread to the 4 winds. There must be bits of this fireplace in homes all across the USA, don't you think? More than any other building, it is the one place, above all, that people most associate with Hitler. And you're an American serviceman at the end of the war. You're going to know that, and suddenly you're in it. You're pouring all over it. Of course you're going to want a memento. You're going to want a piece of that, whether it's a chip from the marble fireplace or even a tapestry.
There's no doubt the tapestry donated by Kathy Heinz was once owned by Adolf Hitler. The question is, where did Hitler get it from? The team have unearthed a potential answer.
This is a sales receipt from a firm called Bernheimer in 1938, and it has to do with the tapestry that's at the National World War II Museum.
And this is amazing because I know a Bernheimer, Conrad Bernheimer. I'll bet it's the same family. Their family was horribly looted during the war. We need to follow up with him.
Robert continues the investigation in Germany. He's meeting Conrad Bernheimer. His family have been dealing in fine art for 4 generations. Before the war, they owned the largest privately owned textile gallery in Europe, based here in Munich. It was from here that one of Hitler's art dealers bought the tapestry.
Connie, hey. How are you?
How are you?
The question is, was the sale a fair one, or were they, like so many Jewish families, forced at gunpoint to sell the artwork at a knockdown price?
So the tapestry sold for 24,000 Reich marks, about $10,000 at the time.
Yeah.
Did that seem about like the right price at that time, as much as you
Well,
could
that
tell?
was my question when you called me and you asked me, do you think this might be a case for a forced sale? Remember, my first question was, well, do you know the price? If it would be below the market value, then we could say maybe this could have been a forced sale.
Yeah, $10,000 at the time was a lot of money.
Was a lot of money. So, in a way, I would have felt stupid if I would have said this was a forced sale.
For Conrad to stake a claim on the tapestry, he'd have to prove the sale was forced, and he doesn't have the evidence. But just weeks after the tapestry was sold, the Bernheimers' world changed forever.
They were all taken, imprisoned, and taken to Dachau. My grandfather, my father, my uncle, all the male members of the family.
And what happened to the business?
It was taken over by the Nazis.
In the end, the Bernheimers escaped Nazi Germany for exile in the US and South America. Conrad has decided he isn't going to stake a claim to Hitler's tapestry, but this means Robert needs to work out who should rightfully own it. At their Dallas HQ, the team get down to work. Trying to establish who should be the rightful owner of a tapestry that once hung in Hitler's eagle's nest is not an easy task. But after months of negotiations, there's a decision. Conrad Bernheimer believes it should go on display in Germany, and Robert's legal advice backs this up, confirming it should be returned to the Bavarian government. Today, Robert's in Munich to celebrate the tapestry's unveiling at the Bavarian National Museum.
This is a very exciting moment for the Monuments Men Foundation. We've put a tremendous amount of time into the research and the discussions with all the different parties that had to come together to make this return happen. It's really an important opportunity for us to see the conclusion to the work that's gone into making sure that this important tapestry is returned to its rightful owner.
The two people central to the tapestry's return have flown in for the ceremony. Kathy Heinz, whose father took the tapestry, and Conrad Bernheimer, whose family business once owned it.
Today, we're gathered to return a 16th century Flemish tapestry that once hung in Adolf Hitler's eagle's nest, and to thank those involved in its return.
So it doesn't come at a feeling of loss for you?
Of course. Of course, it's been part of my life for as long as I can remember, but it's time for it to go to its home. This is where it belongs now, and I'm very happy to be a small part in that.
Marvelous.
I'm glad it's home.
Yeah.
The tapestry's epic journey from the Bernheimers to Hitler's Eagle's Nest to the American Midwest and finally home to Munich makes headlines all over the world.
It's absolutely right and perfect that it came to the museum.
Today's ceremony's been a wonderful example of the great appreciation by the people receiving these things for returning them. And so I hope this will encourage a lot of other people to come forward and contact us that may have objects and let us work with them to make sure it gets home.
The team's investigation has taken them from the mountains and lakes of Bavaria and Austria.
Can I touch it?
To the British soldier who found Hitler's will.
Look at these.
To the maze of tunnels beneath the Munich Führerbau. They've unearthed invaluable information about how and why Hitler committed the greatest art theft in history, and crucially, where the missing artworks might be today. The tapestry's return may only be a small step towards putting right a great historic wrong, but it's an important one.